This is OPME, also known as O, also known as Dr. O, going out now on the Dr. Speaks channel with an open letter to my representative for the state of Vermont. I spent a few hours at the People's House. Vermont, as a brave little state with the smallest capital of 9,000 people in the nation, is very, very proud of what big fish we feel we are in our little tiny pool. So in our little tiny pool, I first of all went to the cafeteria and remembered that, these excited people are making the laws that are going to affect me and you. And they are young, says the 66-year-old. And I even commented out loud, Lordy, Lordy, this is like the high school cafeteria again. And there's something good about that, and there's something challenging about that. If you really listen to some of the exchanges, as I did, that were going on between some of the minimally melanated people, as I saw some reunions between a more melanated woman and another woman who was minimally melanated. Yes, that's what I use instead of those other words that get us into so much trouble. Let's cut to the chase. I was there officially because I was on the schedule to testify. Now, I have done this since Congress and Depo Provera back in the day in the 1970s into 80s, early 80s. So I understand time pressures. But I also understand power dynamics. It was quite interesting to witness the power dynamics in my people's house on the Appropriations Committee. Let me just say that if anybody really cares about women and children in this state and recognizes that we are about to invest a whole bunch more money into a brand new prison, jail for housing female, people assigned female at birth, inmates. And all I wanted to do was suggest we slow down, please. And in slowing down, do a study some more. And I watched the faces of the 11 people on that Appropriations Committee and how little they were listening to the one person who was allowed in that 15 minutes that had somehow gotten down to urgency. There wasn't time for the young, enthusiastic representatives of a lobbying group called Free Her, who had driven an hour down from Burlington. There wasn't time for them, and there certainly wasn't time for me. Now, I'm older and wiser, and I stood up and said, I'm sorry that you all don't seem to really want to hear about the humanity of the women involved in this story right now. But it is a little bit gory, and it's not gory on the end that one person was starting to spin of what are we going to do with the most heinous criminals out there. The entire time I was the medical director at a state prison for women, another state, not Vermont. The whole time I was there, the most evil I saw was not the person serving the life sentence. That poor individual was there because she had taken out an entire family in her DUI when she was drunk and driving, and she was never going to see parole, and she was okay with that. Okay, why couldn't she be in an apartment instead of a prison as she was? And the most dangerous criminals were the Framingham 7 or 8, I don't remember how many it was, who fought back in domestic violence cases against their perpetrators and got locked up. Saw a lot of that. I see a lot of things that I know we don't want to see, but our prison system is out of alignment with the rest of the Western world, period. Don't talk about how beautiful and nice it's going to be. Let's talk about the recidivism rate. Let's talk about the 10 churches I would pass every morning on my way to the prison. And I thought, all they have to do is take one of our people as they leave this incarceral system and nurture them for a year. Just one apiece for the churches. I didn't ask the synagogues to do anything. I didn't ask the mosques to do anything. And I actually didn't ask the churches either, because I have to say, wouldn't it be lovely if we actually had Christian congregations that were interested in redemption? And some of those other words, the big words we use. Rehab is so overused these days, But incarcerating people, locking them up where they cannot touch each other, where they can't show signs of love and support. Most noticeably, there's a huge intermediary now. It's the privatized industrial system. And what they've done is taking things like a hot dog vendor named Aramark and turning them into the correctional medical services, who then go full circle and took away all the women's privileges to cook for themselves over the 2 years I was there. Oh, because of safety issues. Because Aramark wanted to corner the market on all the food that they were having come in and go out. There wasn't a canteen the way it used to be anymore, where you spent your precious little dollars. I have to say, prisons are hell. The only good thing I saw in the women's prison was something called Girl Scout Beyond Bars, and that could so easily be done in an alternative to a prison system. For the mamas, once a month, being bad mamas by our standards. They weren't with their kids 24/7, but once a month, the 9-year-olds and older could come into the prison, and the Girl Scout troop that met the other 3 weeks without the mamas would have the mamas there too. Girl Scout Beyond Bars, nothing else in an entire 2 years. And that's with all the little sweet things we say we're doing for rehab and support, until we have jobs for women, until we have more emotional literacy, until we stop spending $90,000 a year here in Vermont per inmate. We're going to have a very bad system.